Hey everybody, welcome back to We Are the Batman. My name is Mike.
And I think my name is Matthew, unless Warner Brothers has canceled me.
I haven't gotten the memo yet, but that still remains to be seen. We're, every time we try to plan on having a particular episode about something, seems like something else comes up that makes us pause. So this news dropped yesterday, day before, and it's just not fun news, Matt. It's not fun stuff.
Well, and it's also one of those, like, they dropped a bit of, not a bomb, not an atomic bomb, but maybe like a missile, and it just seems to be an avalanche. It's like that missile from the first Iron Man movie. It's one missile, and then it opens up, and it's just like across the board destruction for no reason whatsoever.
So for those who don't know what we're talking about, it was announced, I want to say Tuesday night, late Tuesday, that Warner Brothers Discovery, which is now the new company since the merger of Warner Brothers and Discovery, has announced that Batgirl, which was from all accounts about 90-something% completed, has been pulled from the release schedule altogether. This movie was going to be starring Leslie Grace as Batgirl, J.K. Simmons returning as James Gordon. We were going to see Brendan Fraser come in as Firefly. And apparently, and it was going to be released on HBO Max. And Warner Brothers Discovery has decided that they are pulling it due to the studio's new cost-cutting measures and are instead going to just turn it into a tax write-off. And, pardon my early language, but what the fuck? Just, wow. I can't even wrap my head around this kind of a decision, Matt.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd one, and like the part of me wants to really get into the Batgirl of it all and the Michael Keaton of it all, but then I think I have a larger kind of idea about this. But I don't know where you want to start. Do you want to go with the larger idea, then maybe get into the nitty gritty? How do you want to do this?
What's your kind of broad strokes, big picture idea for why this is good? Because it's not just Batgirl. But Batgirl's kind of the big one that's really got everybody scratching their head. But yeah, what's your big picture idea on this?
I think the big picture idea is that you have to remember that Discovery just combined and or merged and or bought out Warner Brothers, however the hell you want to say that. And what I look at is this. This is originally, it was back when they were just canceling Batgirl, but I kind of look at even some of the other stuff they're canceling is that DC or the DCFU, the DCEU, whatever you think about these movies, they have not technically been profitable in the last like 2 or 3 years. Wonder Woman 84 did not do very well. The Harley Quinn movie did not do very well. The Suicide Squad movie did not do very well. And now you've got the cluster that is the Flashpoint thing with their lead going, off the rails. And you've got Aquaman 2, which was their biggest money-making film in the last several, with Aquaman making over $1 billion. Now that is in question because of the Amber Heard of it. So now you've got Shazam, a movie that did okay the first one, but the sequel maybe works, and Black Adam that they're pushing. But I honestly think Discovery is looking at the DCEU and saying, like, none of this works. None of this is making us money. None of it's doing what it's going to do. So unless Shazam and Black Adam both do over $1 billion, I honestly think that's it. I think it's done. I think they're going to pull the plug with the DCEU, and we're never going to go see those other movies. That's my kind of thought process behind it.
So let me kind of generic timeline this shit a little bit. So when the Warner Media Discovery merger happened, there was a statement that was released about from the new heads of everything who were saying they were looking very closely at the current state of DC and Warner Brothers films, saying they were taking a very big look at pictures they considered to be more in line with what they wanted to do. And they specifically name dropped things like Zack Snyder's Justice League, Batman v Superman, and Matt Reeves' The Batmans. Those were the three examples they dropped, which kind of had everybody going like, oh, Okay, okay, all right. It was that little tiny glimmer of hope for now. We're looking at finally having some, like, we're gonna take a closer, because the one thing everyone's been saying is someone needs to take a big long look at the DCEU and come up with a new plan going forward. And it seemed like that's what they were going to do. Now, kind of quietly behind the scenes, stuff has slowly been getting pulled from HBO Max. Stuff's been getting canceled. Stuff's been, and now, and that wasn't really necessarily big news because that happens on streaming services all the time. Stuff
Yes.
moves around, migrates. It's not, that's not new. Um, this one was the one that really kind of shook everyone because, partially because this was, going to be made specifically for HBO Max. It was being directed by, and I'm going to sabotage the, not sabotage, but butcher these names. Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah, who directed two very good episodes of Ms. Marvel, had directed this film. It was a continuation of the DC. It was the first real, like, Bat movie we were getting since, I mean, I guess Batman v Superman, really, because Justice League was kind of an ensemble piece. And it was also because of Brendan Fraser coming back. Like, Brendan Fraser as coming back into Hollywood. And of course, there was the whole thing with Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne going to be in there, which kind of everybody scratching their heads. But again, this was all kind of based on what the hell is going on with Flashpoint. And I think what's really got everyone scratching their head the most about this is that they're pulling the plug on this movie, but have still not made any kind of decision in regards to The Flash.
Yeah, and this is where I think this is a case of we're getting the slow leaks and we'll see how this goes. Because, pardon me, I mean, dude, I get the tax right of it all, but I mean, who cans a film at 90% without some kind of dramatic, traumatic situation going on? It's not like somebody died on set. It's not
Yeah.
like, there was some serious situation. Literally, somebody went, this movie sucks. Let's not finish it. And again, I think I said it to you on Twitter. This is the same company that released Wonder Woman 84 theatrically. They don't have taste.
I don't think they did release that theatrically, actually.
It was both. I think it was the first one that did both. Am I
Okay.
am I wrong on that?
I think you might actually be wrong on that because it was like peak COVID.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think they did both.
Let me double check here. Okay,
Yeah,
it did do both. Yeah, it
it
did
did
do.
do both.
It did a very limited release, and that's kind of my thing with talking about the box office of all this stuff is when you're releasing movies during a pandemic, you're already not going to make the kind of money you thought you were.
Yeah, but
You know
that
what I
does
mean?
not keep into play the Harley Quinn or the Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn, blah blah. And the Suicide Squad came, in my opinion. I live in Texas; it's a little different world here. In my opinion, once the pandemic was quote unquote over, because people went and saw them. So we're seeing movies by then here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just
Well, Harley Quinn got hurt by the fact that it still had the stink of the first Suicide Squad on it too. So I understand them wanting to take a look at things because we've been asking for them to say, hey, this ship needs right. And we even talked about this on last week's episode when we were talking about Comic-Con. Like, they either need to get their shit together or be done. But the studio pulling the plug on a movie to turn it into a tax write-off when it's pretty much done and ready to come out anyway, that just seems like such a, especially when you consider the fact that, like, the actors and the filmmakers are all coming out because the director found out because they were out of the country for his wedding.
yeah.
He got a text message at his wedding telling him, by the way, that movie you just worked on is not coming out.
No,
Like, they did this without conversations with the cast and the crew. And this wasn't the only movie that got pulled either. There was also, I believe, the next Scooby-Doo got pulled.
mm-hmm.
There are currently rumblings about them canceling Harley Quinn, canceling Blue Beetle, canceling all these other things in production. And it's kind of got everybody going like, what are you doing? Like,
I think I just said.
it just, it seems like just such a weird business move to take tax write-offs on things that are untested, you know?
Well, and this is where, like I said, I think that the in my opinion, it just kind of hit me thinking about it the other day. Is like the DCEU has just not been profitable for them at all. And when you have two movies that were supposed to be your big busters, like I said, Aquaman, the first Aquaman, is like I think the only movie in the DCEU that broke a billion. And now you have
Wonder,
somebody,
Wonder Woman did. Wonder Woman crossed a billion.
the first one.
Yeah, the first one
Oh
did.
yes, you're right. You're right. You're right. But even then, that's 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So now the sequel to this movie that you're hoping is going to make a billion has a huge stain on it. The other movie that you're hoping is going to do gangbusters because you're bringing back fan favorites, a la Michael Keaton, its lead is now in question. And I think what you really have here, and dude, like all I keep thinking about is like that's why they weren't on Comic Con. That's the
Oh,
only
absolutely.
reasonable explanation is that they've canned Batgirl for a while. This whole, I really think that that Discovery has just looked at this whole thing and been like, nah, forget it. Just clean slate all of this stuff because Black Adam and Shazam are in the can. They're done. They're
Yeah.
completely and totally done. So I think that's the only thing that's saving them. And even though I think Flashpoint is technically done,
It's
they're
been done for a while. They
yeah,
just keep pushing it.
yeah.
Um, I'll say this though, because Batgirl was only slated to be released on HBO Max. If you're and it was also a low budget for a comic book movie. It was only the budget was $90 million.
Yeah.
That's barely more than what the first Deadpool was made for. If you're looking to make money on this thing, then don't put it out on HBO Max. Put it out in theaters.
Well, and but it also costs to put things in theaters. You have to remember, once you put something in a theater, the budget doubles between marketing, creating the things that go out there with the reels or the platforms, whatever. It still costs them money to release a film.
Oh, I understand that it costs some money to release a film, but then at least you know you're going to get direct reimbursement on it through actual dollars. Releasing a movie on streaming, nobody knows how anyone makes money on that because none of the streaming services release their information. But at least by putting it out in theaters, you know there's going to be cash exchanging hands. And if this thing turns out to, plus again, people were, and I cannot undersell this enough. People were very excited to see Brendan Fraser come back. Like Brendan Fraser is one of those actors people have been dying for him to get a
Yes.
second chance in Hollywood. And when he was announced as playing Firefly in this movie, people got really fucking excited. And that alone was going to bring people into this movie. We hadn't even seen a trailer yet for this movie yet. Like imagine if they had just went ahead and just like, hey, you know what, guys? The movie's almost done already anyway. Cut together a quick trailer. Cut together a quick like sizzle reel. Let's throw this out on YouTube or whatever, and let's see how much buzz it gets. And if this thing like crushes on YouTube, this little trailer, if this thing does like, you know, several hundred million views in like a 24-hour span, screw it. Let's put this thing out in theaters because people are obviously into this. It just
Yeah, but if you had that confidence, we would have had a Batgirl trailer at Comic Con.
yeah.
I
And
mean,
so
straight
that's
up.
but I think that what I'm getting at is this feels like an overreaction. Do I understand the business practices behind it? Yes. Do I think that this was you guys went all the way to the worst? You guys went to Protocol Zero. Okay. You guys went all the way to DEFCON 1 on this thing. You could have baby stepped this a little bit. You could have just put some more feelers out to see if there was an interest, if people were interested in this, and then put out, like I said, a 1 minute little teaser just to see if people liked the way this thing was, and if they were like, holy shit, this looks really cool and really good, and we're excited to see Brendan Fraser back, and you know what, Leslie Grace looks like she's gonna crush it as Batgirl. J.K. Simmons as Gordon looks awesome. You know what? Yeah, we're into this. And you can be like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should give this movie a release. But instead, to go all the way to we're almost done with it, like it's 90 something percent done, to we're pulling the plug altogether, like that it just it's such seems like such an overreaction to a problem that this movie wasn't a part of. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's where there's part of me going like, was it that bad?
Who's to
that
say?
Well,
You
that's
know?
what I'm saying. Like for them, that everything you're saying is correct because yeah, link a trailer, see if somebody wants to see it.
That's how
But
Deadpool got made.
that's how Deadpool
That's
got.
how Deadpool got made.
But like I said, if they feel like it's that bad and they don't even want to do that, I mean
But
that
see,
that's another thing that could be the telltale of what's happening.
and that could very well be it as well. And then that kind of goes back to what I said last week in our Comic-Con conversation, which is they need to stop playing things so freaking close to the chest and just be honest. Because in every piece official release that has come out about this Batgirl thing have all said this was strictly a tax write-off. Like that's all the only reason to do it is just to get a tax write-off on it and relook at our finances. Okay, fine. But if the actual problem was, hey, we just had no faith in this movie whatsoever, my response to that then is, how could you know that if no one's seen anything from it? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
They put out the first little teaser for Guardians of the Galaxy when they had shot maybe 10 minutes of footage for this film. The teaser was nothing more than them going through being checked in the lineup, and he flips off the camera. That was it. That was the whole teaser. And people were like, holy crap, this looks funny.
yeah.
The first Despicable Me movie, the only teaser that came out for it was a minion on a white screen turning the little cow can that moves and giggling like a moron. I saw that teaser in theaters and said, I have no idea what this movie is about, but I have to see it.
Look at the first Dark Knight teaser. It was voices.
Yeah, it was a bat logo and voices.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to say you have no faith, if the issue is they had no faith in it, then they absolutely should have put some kind of teaser or sizzle reel out. Because just because you have no faith in it, no one's seen anything from it. And the fact that they're calling it a tax write-off is the part that really irks me, because what a lot of people don't realize is that by not releasing this for the purposes of a tax write-off, that means they can never, ever, ever release it. Ever.
Correct.
Because the minute they do, the IRS will have their ass. They can't release this as a bonus feature on a DVD. They can't release this as an exclusive on YouTube. It can never see the light of day, or else the IRS will have them by the balls.
Yeah.
And that, to me, as a fan, is problematic, because that has me saying, I can never trust anything Warner Brothers or DC says is coming, because the minute they find themselves looking at the dollars and cents or whatever, they'll just pull something. It almost feels to me like they're setting a scary precedent,
Uh,
because I understand that this was the pre-merger. They could have pulled this kind of crap with the Snyder Cut.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's the kind of dangerous precedent I'm talking about, is all the work that these people did. Now, not only is it not going to be released in an official sense, it can legally never see the light of day. And that is putting a lot of people in a very precarious position.
Yeah. Well, and this is where I have two. Like one, I mean, not to be weird, but for the last 8-9 years that the DC, FU, EU, whatever it's called, is how many different projects have been announced that never see the light of day? How many of them have they talked about it that doesn't? There was supposed to be a Batgirl movie 8-9 years ago or 6 years ago. I mean, I think that was just a ruse to get Joss Whedon on the lot and people not wonder why he was there before he took over Justice League. But I mean, I think that this is where it's just a weird thing. It's a weird, like, you're right. Why not just finish it? How much does it cost to finish it and put it on HBO Max if you're not going to do it theatrically? Or what about the rest of these projects? And that's where having this Discovery involved now, I'm really wondering, like, are they just, I mean, that's my theory, is that they're just like, none of this works. Release the things that are completely, totally done, and then we're calling it a day. We're wiping the slate clean, and next year we're going to do something completely different. I'm really curious if that's what's happening. And the worst part for me is, personally, is like, I'm not saying this is correct, but there's a part of Twitter and a part of narrative out there that is like, you know, yeah, why is this happening to this project and nothing else? Because,
So
like, they're kind of leaning toward, there's a racism thing going on here. The whole get woke, get broke had definitely went all over the place when they announced this thing. Um,
yeah.
and I don't buy into that at all, as far as personally. But there's a part of it that goes like, you guys want to say that you're not canceling it because you have a black lead? It sure looks like that.
It does. It's very suspicious that so you've got one movie that's being led by a Latina female, and that's getting pulled before it's even completed. You've got another movie being led by a white male who has been caught assaulting people, grooming underage children, supplying them with drugs, evading the police, and his you're still planning on releasing.
I mean, are they? That's my thing.
As far as we
Yes.
know, they're still planning on releasing it. Like
Yeah.
that's my point, is you're all fine and well to make an official statement about this movie, but the one with the, violent child groomer, that one you're still like, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. It and it's not just a Batgirl, like to get a little bit more nitty gritty of this. So they have announced massive cutbacks with operations, including they've cut development in most of Europe and removed a lot of original series from production in the territory. They have cut live action children's programming. They've scrapped Batgirl. They've scrapped the next Scooby-Doo movie. They've removed several HBO Max original films from the platform entirely. And it's got a lot of people wondering, are they even going to keep HBO Max? Because they originally talked about how they were going to fold the Discovery Plus and Discovery content in with the Warner Brothers content. Everyone kind of assumed it was all going to go to HBO Max because HBO Max is kind of kicking all the other streaming services asses right now. And now it's got everybody wondering, are they just going to get rid of HBO Max altogether? And if they do, that's dumb. Like, that is just dumb.
Yeah, but are they? And this is where I don't know enough about this, but I'm just, maybe you do. Like, I know that the content is really good for some people, but do they have the subscriptions? Like, I know when they released the Justice League Snyder Cut, they got a huge upswing in subscriptions, but has that maintained the same amount of what everybody else is doing? Because I don't, like, Disney Plus is out of control. They're going through the roof.
Yeah.
But that's the Star Wars thing, which, whatever. But
as of April of this year, they have 76.8 million users.
Okay.
Which I'm trying to get the rankings here, but I think that's like the top two. But so HBO Max subscriber numbers. Let's see here.
All right. So according to this from April, Netflix has 220.7 million. Amazon Prime has 175 million. Disney Plus has 137.7 million. Tencent Video has 124 million.
What is Tencent Video?
I have no idea.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm taking
HBO Max is at 76.8 million. So they are of this list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th on the list, just under Google. Just over Google. So, Paramount has the least.
So well, that's not surprising at all. So a couple things. I take Amazon Prime off that list only because how many of those subscribers are actually using Prime Video and how many of them are just getting the shipping? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I put a big old asterisk next to that number. I don't know what the hell 10-cent video is. I've never heard of that in my life.
That is because it is exclusively basically in Asia.
Okay, see that right there. That's and see that's the other thing too is HBO Max is only in the US.
Yes.
I will point that out. All the other ones are global. HBO Max is exclusive in the
No,
US.
no,
So
it's according to this: U.S., Puerto Rico, Latin America, Caribbean, Nordics, Spain and Andorra, Netherlands, Portugal, Central and Eastern Europe. So not completely worldwide, but a little more than
it's not as it used to be.
not
It
as
used to
bad.
be
Yeah,
US only, but it's not nearly as global as the others. Which might be why their numbers are where they're at. But still, like that's the other thing you got to look at too. What I'm curious about is retention.
yeah.
Because in my opinion, in terms of like programming content catalog, HBO Max has the best. And so I'm wondering how many people, like you mentioned, joined up because of the Snyder Cut, but then stuck around because they were like, "Hey, there's some cool shit on here."
I mean, the Snyder Cut is what made me look at it, and then looking
Yeah.
at the other content, I was like, no, I'll stay. But I'll be honest, like it's almost on the cutting block,
I
the
don't know,
block.
man. I love it. They got so much on there for me. Like I'm using it right now to go back. Like I use it to watch John Oliver. I use it to go back and rewatch like South Park, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Who's Line. They have really good original content on there. Um, I don't know. This all just feels, but also you can't tell me that it's doing better than Discovery Plus. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Or that it's not. Like you can't tell me Discovery Plus is doing so much better that they're like, hey, let's get rid of HBO Max in place of
No,
Discovery. No, 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 no.
they have
No.
24 million according to
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Don't even. Yeah, let's not even joke. It's not even. Um, it just. I don't know. It.
Well, and this is where are they going to do like the umbrella thing? Like they're just going to pull HBO Max. Because remember, HBO Max isn't exactly the original
No, it's not.
thing. There was
No.
DC Online for like a year and a half, and then once HBO Max started getting more traction, they shifted everything over. So it's possible they're going to do that again, whether they put Discovery Plus under HBO Max or vice versa. I mean that's what we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean it's all weird. It's all doesn't make any sense, but it really to me when I read it, I mean the more other content gets canceled, it does, in my opinion, lead more toward maybe they're just getting rid of HBO Max and not just the DCFU. But it's reading like that. I mean, again, going retrospect to me, that's the only thing that makes sense about why they only had Shazam and Black Adam at at Comic Con.
Well, especially now seeing all this go down.
Yeah,
A week ago, it didn't make any sense at all.
yeah.
But if they're
So
starting to just start cutting stuff, it's like okay, but don't start. But I'm also in the mindset of like, don't start canceling stuff till you got something to replace it with. You know.
but that's what I'm saying. If they're going to get rid of HBO Max, what do they care?
Oh no, I'm talking about like the movies and stuff in general.
Oh
Like
yeah,
don't start cutting projects and then be like, we're making these go away. Okay, cool. What are you replacing them with? Then what's the plan after that? Because to me, this just reeks of the same BS we've had for years, which is there's no plan. They're just
yes,
living in the moment.
correct. Yeah.
So if they're doing this because they've got a plan, I want to know what that plan is. And if they don't have a plan, then they need to pump the brakes until they have a plan.
And
You know?
it's maybe they're trying to figure out a plan, But that's all I thought about the other day, thinking about like the lack of profitability of the DCFU movies over the last several years. Maybe that's what they're doing. Like they can't stop. They're not going to not release two movies they've already completed, which is Shazam and Black Adam. That
Right.
don't have anything tarnishing it. You know what I mean?
But even it just I don't know. It's just
Yeah,
something about this stinks. Something about this just stinks.
yeah.
And I really hope like I'm not even after this conversation, I am not happy about any of this. And I really hope that there's some level of clarity that comes out really freaking soon because right now this just stinks I don't like it. I don't like it at all because it sets a weird precedent, and it makes me really uneasy about what's going to happen going forward.
Yeah. Well, because the other thing too is like, you know, some people were wondering, like the previous years, like, hey, are they saving stuff for DC fandom? But there's not even a DC fandom this year.
No, we talked about it last week. They have yet to announce one, and it's August now.
Yeah.
So if they were going to, I think we had it about this time the last couple of years, didn't we?
Correct, because the first DC fandom is when they did the first Batman trailer.
Yeah.
So,
DC fandom in the past
yeah, I'm looking it up.
was, I'm trying to find. Let me see here. Yeah,
it was
so
in October.
So the first one was in August. The second one was in October. But it's just like, if they were going to have one, they would have announced it by now.
Yeah.
So, but at this point, I don't really want a DC fandom. I just want someone from Warner Media, Warner Discovery, to come out and say, okay, here's why we're doing what we're doing, and here's our plan. Because right now it just feels like they're making moves without a plan, and that's been the problem since day one, is they have no plan. We had heard rumblings that they were going to be announcing who was going to be their quote unquote Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
And now it just seems like they're just abandoning ship. And I don't know. I'm one of those. I'm like, if you're gonna abandon ship, at least finish the job you set out to do.
Yeah.
Don't leave people hanging who put a lot of work into something, and now their work means nothing.
Yeah. Even Universal was like, nope, the Mummy sucked. We're not doing the rest of them.
Yeah, but they didn't have anything else in production, at least. Like shooting hadn't even started on any of those other pictures.
That's true.
This movie was basically done.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just a big crap on the people that worked hard to make this movie, that now not only is it not going to be released, it can never be released. And that's the part that really sticks in my craw, is like, there's no hope that someday down the road people might get to see this. It's like, no one will ever see this movie.
Well, and the thing too that kind of makes me think about this is like, it's not like Miss Marvel was like lambasted and everybody hated it. Everybody loved that show.
It's freaking good. That's why.
So like, ride that with these directors. You know what I mean? Hey, you like that? From the directors of Miss Marvel comes Batgirl.
Seriously. Because they directed the premiere and the finale of Ms. Marvel, 2 episodes of that show that were beloved by people. Those were probably two of the best episodes in the season, and the whole season was pretty damn good, honestly. So you put out a teaser with these guys and say, from the directors of Ms. Marvel, then people are already going to be interested. Not to mention that you've got Christina Hodson, who was writing this thing. And Christina Hodson, she worked on Unforgettable, Bumblebee, and Birds of Prey, all of which, not a lot of people went to go see Birds of Prey, but it was very well received. Like, it didn't make a lot of money at the box office because everybody was like, whatever, Suicide Squad. But the ones who did see it were like, hey, this movie is actually pretty good. So it's a weird situation.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. I don't like it, Matt.
and it's unsettling, to be honest with you.
It's very unsettling. It's all the rumors and all the rumblings of stuff going on behind the scenes, and this was nowhere on anyone's radar.
No.
Nowhere on anybody's radar.
But again, in retrospect, it makes San Diego Comic-Con make a lot more sense.
Yeah, it makes Comic-Con make a lot more sense, but honestly, I don't like that. I'm really curious to hear what the people think. So if you guys want to let us know what you think of this whole situation, if you're heated like I am, however you're feeling, let us know. You can let us know in the comments. You can let us know in a review. You can let us know at our Twitter, which is @WeAreTheBatman. It's pretty easy to remember. You can let us know there, or you can also let me know. Let us know directly on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter @Mr. Mike Shea.
You can find me at Mr. J Ninja.
And we'll be back again next time with, who knows? Who knows what we're going to be back with next time here on We Are the Batman.
No matter what, it's going to be positive. We're not talking about news next time. We'll just do something fun.
No. We made this decision to start talking about the news, and just terrible news came out. So next time we're talking about puppies named Batman or something. I don't know.
We got this. We got it.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.